Show me something.
Hello and welcome back to the Show Me Something podcast. I'm Jacob.
I'm Will.
And I'm Trevor.
And today I showed the boys the movie Brazil from 1985?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
I wrote it down.
By Terry Gilliam of Monty Python fame, amongst other things. After that, he did a bunch of different directing and writing things. But in short, it's like a movie, if you can put this movie in short terminology or whatever. It's like about a guy who works in the records department of this like dystopian-ish world that takes place neither in the past, present, or future. It's kind of like a weird scenario, especially because of the art direction of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But he is basically like in this life in a dead-end job, and a whole bunch of shit happens involving trying to find a certain guy, trying to connect with a girl that he sees in his dreams, and trying to fix his ducks in his flat. Amongst a whole bunch of other stuff that we'll get into later. But yeah, you want to start off, Will, by what you thought of the whole thing?
Oh, we're just going to skip housekeeping and how are we and how.
Oh, right, housekeeping.
Damn, Jacob, we've been doing this forever. You know, you'd think you'd get it down.
Get him, Trev. Boop, boop,
I feel like
I get shit on every time.
I feel like that's one of the things I always forget to ask about is housekeeping. I feel like you guys are better at that than me.
We got to ease ourselves in, man. We can't just jump straight in.
For my housekeeping, beer-wise, I'm drinking a Miller Lite. So I'm on the light side today. Bought a 12 boy at Publix last week when I went. And also, this is good because I didn't want to mention housekeeping. I watched season 2 of, or what is so far season 2 of Dr. Stone.
Oh, you fucker.
So
yes!
I'm not a poser / liar. So
damn, I definitely did.
Oh, did you watch the episode that came out today?
No, I didn't watch whatever came out today. I caught up until before that.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's like 7 or 8 episodes or whatever was
Is it
out
good?
Before that. Yeah, it's good. I feel like
sound hesitant.
I liked season 1 more.
That's fair.
Still, from what I'm seeing so far, there's some cool stuff happened, but I feel like the first like 3 or 4 episodes were kind of boring. I don't know if you felt that same way, Trevor.
I was
season 2.
For me, I had such a gap between season 1 and 2 that I was just kind of like hyped to get back to it, so I didn't really feel that as much.
How do you guys think I would feel about it at this point? Should I invest time?
Yeah.
So you're saying no?
Time.
I don't know if you'll like it.
I still think you should try
I would say that there is some like actual events happening with the bad guys.
I thought this was I thought this was like the whole war between him and Tsukasa at this point.
Yeah,
not the case.
Listen, no spoilerinos. There is stuff happening.
I mean, this season is literally called Dr. Stone Stone Wars.
Yeah, I know.
That's literally the name of the season. So yeah.
So is there a war? By episode 7, is there?
Well,
a
so
war?
far there are 7 episodes of build-up mostly.
Oh no, I'm out.
That's why I said you wouldn't really like it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I trust you.
There's
What's my
stuff.
boy's name? What's my boy's name that left after episode 3 and never came back that I was pissed about?
Oh, he's big back. Yeah.
He's back. Okay, maybe. I'll
he is back. Most recent episode, other than the one that just came out today, the second to most recent. That was a good moment. That was a good moment.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff. Same with his girlfriend. But yeah, you guys got any other housekeeping?
Yeah, I'm on season 2 of The Sopranos. I also restarted The Good Place, which I've watched like. I think I've seen the first 2 seasons front to back, and then I maybe have like tailed off in season 3.
I think Abby's a big fan of that show.
I think it's amazing. It's really, really good. The writing is great. The concept is great. For whatever reason, I stopped. Like I kind of lost pace with it, so it's now finished. So I'm going back to finish it for real. But it's been so long that I figured it was worth starting over. Now that I finished Veep.
Nice.
Because you need, like, for me at least, I say you, I mean for me, I need like a sitcom length show and a full drama length show for my own personal well-being. Like, there are going to be times where I don't want to invest in a full episode of The Sopranos, so I want just like a quick hit of The Good Place, you know? My brain is broken, essentially, and if I'm going to watch TV, I have to be able to finish a full episode in a sitting, so I always want to have the option of a 22-minute or a 50-minute episode.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I like having like 30-minute based shows, and I don't usually feel the need to have an hour-long show, just because it's so long, you know?
Yeah.
But I also just don't watch a lot of TV.
You're fucking up, dude. Like, the fact that you haven't seen Sopranos, Mad Men, The Wire, Breaking Bad.
Dude, on my off day, I spent like 15 hours playing Bannerlord.
Right. I know. It's just like, it's wild to me personally that like you don't intake TV like that. Like, I understand why you don't. And like, that's just, again, that's me. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, I think.
I mean, I enjoy TV. Like, I enjoy good television shows. I never like feel the urge to want to watch them on my own usually.
Yeah. That's fair.
Unless it's a show that I've already seen, because I have that sick disease where I just like rewatching shows.
Yeah. I mean, I do too. We're watching.
Not a bad disease.
Riss and I are watching.
It's not great.
Adventure Time now. We've been watching it for a couple years, but we
had she seen it before though?
She has never seen it before. No, I've seen it front to back, and we're on season 6. Which is where it gets like really, really incredible, like on a weekly basis for me. Anyway, so. And then.
Are you done with your housekeeping?
Yeah, sorry. No, I just got to text my mom, and it's like some bullshit. Yeah, had I finished God of War last time we spoke?
I don't remember
playing it.
Okay, I rolled credits on God of War.
Nice.
And that's been great. I'm now going through like the post game content. But beyond that, yeah, I've just been making music, watching The Sopranos, and playing God of War for the most part. What about you, Trev?
Still working on Red Dead Redemption 2. Really good.
It's a long game.
We just got to Saint Denis area, in the story at least. I mean, I've hung out there way too much already. Like, I just kind of went down there on my own. So whatever.
See, for me, I didn't really like going to the city that much because I always ran into people and they got mad at me.
Yeah, no, I don't like being in the city, but I was going down there a lot because I was hunting a lot of gators and stuff and then taking them to the trapper who's in the city.
Also, like, when you're not even running into the people. You'll just be, like, going down the street and people be like, whoa! Like, fuck off!
Yeah, they're
I
so
just go
dramatic.
slower. I just go slower in the city. I'm just like...
I don't want to, like, barely trot. I want to get through the city.
I'm just doing a little trot through the city. But,
I was just like, fuck off.
Also, I'm almost done with my first beer, but this is what I was drinking. I was drinking Pleased as Pie.
You're only on your first beer, dude?
Yeah. And then, I'm about to open...
Oh, yeah, I didn't shout my beer out.
That's fucked.
Go for it. Do it.
Sorry. I'm drinking Crying on the Inside by Threes Brewing.
I love that graphic. Is he pinching like a volcano or something?
No, so he's lifting up the covers to show that he's crying behind the covers.
Sad.
That's from Clifton Park, New York. Very good beer. IPA. Low deal IPA.
I'm now about to switch over to the brewing project. Smoofy Sour. It's got this crazy, like, Blender Man on the front. So
nice.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna.
The Miller Lite can doesn't really have any fancy stuff on it. Just has a fine Pilsner.
Don't show us that shit. You just disrespected all of our video
Look at that
viewers.
thick.
I think that
Trevor's making up for it. Trevor's making up for it.
Thick.
That's
Holy
thick as
shit.
Yeah.
That is syrup.
That is a smoothie.
Jeez.
Smells good though. Smells like strawberries.
Listen, every now and again, I just gotta pick up a case of light beer. Trevor drinks light beer all the time. You never give him shit.
I've been
Not
drinking
on the podcast. He's been drinking these fancy ass Tavor
yeah,
box
but he
beers.
always drinks them as a warm up, as you know,
used to
give you guys a little bit of backup, guys.
Not now.
Backstory.
I'm just having this stuff on air at the moment.
at the moment takes a sip.
What else? I'm watching. I'm watching
okay,
WandaVision as well. That's really good stuff.
Oh, me too. Sorry. Yeah, WandaVision absolutely is wonderful.
So
Didn't
good.
we talk about this last time?
Probably. Well, it's still coming out every week, so whatever.
Trevor, had you
That's true.
had
That
you
was
seen
only a
it
week
at
ago.
that point? I don't remember
Yeah,
talking about it at all.
I'm keeping it up week to
We
week.
for sure talked about it last week.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, it's really good. Just get past. I probably said the exact same thing last time, but get past the first
It's
two
gonna be good.
episodes.
I think I said this last time. I didn't mind the first 2 episodes. I thought they were very weird and interesting.
They're fun, but
They're
it
okay.
gets really good.
What else am I doing? I mean, me and Jacob just started a new game. We started For the King
It's true.
on our off time whenever we play games.
Yeah, it's like a video game version, like a light video game version of D&D / like a style of like a JRPG combat style.
What the fuck?
It's weird and small and cool, and you could play with us,
pretty
Will,
cool.
if you had a PC.
It is 3-player.
Oh.
It's like specifically 3-player. He could probably run it on his Mac if it runs on that OS.
He could play his
It
brain.
doesn't seem like a difficult game. Yeah.
Maybe I
We have
could
a
use.
character-
Maybe I could use Rissa's PC.
There you go.
She has a
Or,
PC?
I'm sorry, her Mac. But she has
Oh.
she has a much newer Mac than I do.
Dude, I was about to fucking explode. I thought she fucking bought a razor blade. I was like, oh shit. But yeah, you
and I
guys
think
got any other
that's-
housekeeping?
That's more or less it. Oh, I finished most all of Daft Punk's discography. Since
Oh
last
shit, that's huge
What'd you think?
housekeeping. What'd you think?
time. Really good. I very much like the Alive 2007 live tour album.
Live tour, nice.
It's really dope. It's got a nice mashup. I did skip a couple of things, like there's like
You
two.
skipped shit?
There's like 2 Tron albums. There's 3 Tron
Dick.
albums actually.
Oh, don't worry about the try. Those are soundtracks. Those aren't.
And then for God, I forget one of the albums. 2 of the albums have remix albums right after them of like other people who have remixed their songs. I listened to the first one. I skipped the second one. I was like, I looked at it and it was like 4 of the same song remixed by different people in a row,
Yeah.
and I'm just like,
those
wanna
don't
listen-
count.
Yeah, those are fake. Those aren't real albums.
Those
okay.
don't count.
Then I
The
You always
discography
skip
is
those
just
from any artist.
albums by that person, like remix albums, deluxe edition albums. Fuck all that.
Collab
Okay.
albums you'll listen to though. That's you gotta fix some of those.
Random Access Memories was really good.
Oh, that's what it was called. That was what I
Yeah.
mentioned last time.
A lot of good stuff. I really enjoyed my time doing this.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad you guys talked me into doing it. I do want to try out one of the other Tron albums still.
I've never seen Tron, either of them.
Try the first one. Just do the first album.
Human After All.
No, I meant the movies.
Yeah, I know. They're not good.
Oh.
Human After All is pretty good as well. I kind of like that album. Homework was an album, honestly.
Okay.
But yeah. So I did that. I did it.
Can you do? I want this to be a segment, like Trevor's discography talk, like check in.
I mean, it might not happen for a little while because I got to catch up on some of my other
Yeah, Trev
listening.
doesn't just listen to music, all right?
But he did though. That's the point. Is that he
I
did
did.
listen to music.
I
and
got
now
a
mean
wild
going
kick,
forward.
and I did it,
we can make it a thing.
and I'm gonna be good for a little bit.
That would be like giving Trevor 2 things to have to do for the next episode.
So, do you mean for a little bit? You mean for the next 27 years, right? Because this is the first time you ever listened to a discography.
Well, first of all, I'm not 27 years old.
26.
I'm 25.
Jesus Christ.
I'm 26.
Fuck
I'm the
me.
young one, which is weird because usually I'm the old one with my group.
I'm about to
of
be
friends.
fucking
Will's
30,
50.
dude.
Will's the
All
old
right,
grumpy
well,
man.
We'll check
We'll
in with
see.
you when you're 50, Trevor, for your next discography. All right.
Next time I listen to something, I'll let you know.
Good
15
housekeeping.
minutes in, let's talk about
Good
Brazil.
Good
Yeah.
housekeeping. Yeah, I guess I'm up first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie was really fucking awesome.
Nice.
It is absolutely fucking batshit insane. So I think you should know that going in. It is visually insane. It is, in terms of the script, insane. And the plot, I think, is probably pretty insane too. There's a lot of crazy shit that happens that will probably throw you off. full disclosure, we're recording on a Thursday. I watched this on Monday night, and I fell asleep 40 minutes left of the movie. Not because the movie is boring, but just because I was so exhausted. So I had to go back and finish it on Tuesday.
Damn.
So it's not overly long or anything. It was just, Mondays are long days for me at work, and I have started working out in the morning again before work, so that also contributed to my exhaustion.
I think the runtime is what, like
it's
2
like,
hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 2:15. Yeah, it's
like a little bit over the average.
It's manageable, and also I don't think that while you're watching it, it doesn't seem very long. Like, it's not like a movie that drags. It's very engaging. But yeah, it's really dope. It's a great Orwellian film. It's like kind of like it's kind of a druggy analog to 1984. I feel like it's a really interesting satire about consumerism and capitalism.
It's a dystopia.
Did you look up anything after watching?
No, I wanted to, because I feel like there's probably a lot of really awesome stuff written about this film. And
I do just want to say about you calling it like Orwellian 1984. One of the joke things that he used to like to title this movie was 1984 and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of the references to 1984, and I guess also possibly based on the movie 8.5 by Federico Fellini. I think the guy's name is Fellini.
That's the fucking.
Haven't seen 8.5, but
that's the box set that my dad got me. That I think I mentioned at some point. He got me for Christmas like a Federico Fellini box set. He loves 8.5 to death, and that makes me very curious to watch that movie to see what the parallels are.
I haven't seen 8.5. I don't know that anything is based off of it as much of just him liking that director.
That film. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, it's really great. Jonathan Pryce was wonderful. It was cool to see him. He's probably most commonly known as the head sparrow of Game of Thrones. I don't know what the fuck his actual name. His actual name was. But he's like the badass priest that Joffrey falls in with late in the show.
You mean his most common role, most recently?
Yeah, I don't know what he's most known for, but that's what I knew him from.
Yeah,
he's also in The Two Popes, which I never saw, but it's a big deal. Yeah, it's really cool. I have less to say about it, but I think most of it will be better suited for the spoiler section. So I'll say a solid 8.5. It's a very unique film. I think it's absolutely worth watching. It's very engaging, and it also the fact that it's 36 years old. There's still a ton of relevancy in this film.
Oh yeah.
Which is really amazing. Just a massive shout out to Terry Gilliam, who directed Monty Python and the Holy Grail. This dude is a fucking legend, even just for these two movies alone, let alone the rest of his filmography. He made Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which I have never seen, but obviously is very beloved. Yeah, it's really fucking cool. It's bananas. It's absolutely bananas. It's the most. It felt like a fever dream for a lot of it. In a good way,
for sure.
In a good way, a fever dream without all the terrible aspects of a fever dream. So, yeah, 8.5. Really dug it. Thank you.
Right on.
All right,
Trave.
This was a trip and a half. Oh, this was something. I didn't hate it. I liked parts of it a lot. Every now and then, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what? Just why? And just kind of it seems like it's going in a direction and then it just veers in another.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes not the best way, sometimes in a really cool way. It's weird. I'm I guess more of the critic on this one.
Yeah, I will say I don't think
usually
it's perfect.
Will's pissed.
No.
I do also have flaws, but I think that my positives outweigh my flaws. And sorry for interrupting your review section.
No, it's all right, dude. I do think it's better than not. I definitely think it's worth a watch. I don't get why it's called Brazil at all. Just gonna throw that out there. I don't know if I missed something.
You didn't.
You didn't miss anything.
Okay, cool.
The name Brazil is it's just called Brazil.
There's
really.
the credits
It's like,
the credits. The end credit song says Brazil a bunch, and then that's
the theme song of the whole movie is the song Brazil.
Yeah,
and like the most of the soundtrack throughout the entire film is variations of Brazil. It's just like they'll be humming it or it'll be playing on the radio. It's just like apparently. He got the idea from like hearing a guy on the beach it was a really shitty day on a beach in Britain somewhere, and there was a guy just listening to this song on the radio and just enjoying himself immensely, just loving it. And Terry Gilliam was like, "What?
How does that make whatever?" Anyways,
but like I watched like the mini documentary thing earlier today, like about it's like 30 minutes long. You can find it on YouTube. I think it's called "What Is Brazil." It's basically like everybody in the movie. They are like the writers and like a bunch of like production people and like actors. It's so funny. They'll the interviewer will be like asking them why is it called Brazil, and they'll just be like. They just like have no idea. They like don't know how to answer it. They're like, I don't know.
Well, I think this we're probably going to get pretty far off track here, but I think it's really interesting dichotomy because Brazil and by proxy Brazilian music is like very happy and sunny.
Yeah.
And you think of the beach and you think of people playing. I mean, this is I say you, I mean me. I think of the beach. I think of people playing soccer on the beach. Sun, tropical climate, and then like you just have this utterly oppressive dystopian setting. And I think that like it maybe is just like a wink at like look how fucking awful this shit is. Like they're thinking about Brazil as like this ideal.
I guess
I would say it's also
nobody
like
talks
the
about thinking about
escapism
Brazil
of
in
the
this
main
entire
character.
film.
But he's listening to Brazilian music when he drives his car, and it's Brazilian music in quotes. It's sort of like bossa nova, and also everyone should listen to Brazilian music. It is fucking wonderful. I love it dearly. Mad Villainy samples a ton of Brazilian music.
There it is.
Sorry. So like the idea of Brazil in my head is like very romantic, and this probably has to do a lot with the things that I'm into, which are hip hop and soccer. Brazilian soccer is like incredibly romantic and fluid and wonderful, and Brazilian music is sampled a lot in hip hop because it's so warm and melodic. So that is me. Well, that's what I brought into the title of it being Brazil, which I agree. It's got absolutely no bearing on the film itself. Yeah. But I love it anyway.
But I feel like that's also like Sam's escape, right?
Right, exactly.
Exactly. It's his main way to escape from this present that he's in
his main
right now.
way. I don't want to get into it until we get to spoilers. But like his main way to escape has visually nothing to do with Brazil.
No, of course not. But I think it's
literally
like an analog.
So I don't know.
Like so I don't think it's a spoiler to say
it's the idea.
Well, hold on. Let me get my score out, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
All right. Fuck.
Let me get my score out, man. Come on. I'm trying to. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. It was fine.
That's respectable.
7.5, I feel like is more than fine.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah,
7.5 is good.
Like there was
but that
there was
depends on
very
your rating scale.
Yeah.
I mean, also I like having. I mean, it's been a minute since I played Cyberpunk, but every now and then, little bits of it, I'm like, this is like a little bit Cyberpunk dystopia.
Cyberpunk.
Over.
I will say that this came out before the video game Cyberpunk.
Well, no.
To just say for the audience,
35 years before.
When did the tabletop game
I know
come
that
out?
Trevor thinks that this ripped off Cyberpunk.
I do not think that this ripped off Cyberpunk. It might have ripped off the board game, though.
No, it
Trevor,
didn't.
Cyberpunk
is
fucking
not
Zoomer?
Not 35 years old.
When did
right.
Dream of the Electric Sheep come out? When did that book come out?
Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. That's a good call.
Yeah.
All right, Cobb, go into your review. I'll look these things up.
Yeah, it was fine.
No, I mean I enjoyed it a lot. I originally watched this. Go ahead. Will?
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, which is considered to be the basis of Blade Runner, came out in 1968.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't find anywhere where he like referenced anything off of that.
He definitely didn't. I'm just pulling shit out of my butt right now. Like,
Cyberpunk, the Cyberpunk tabletop game, first edition was 1988, so 3 years after this.
There we go.
Yeah, the only thing that came up when I was looking into it was 1984, and it also came up that he didn't even read 1984, he just knew about it.
That's awesome.
He had never read it.
That's a better way, I think, to do it.
Like, at the time of filming it.
Also, Blade Runner came out in 82, so I think the analog to Blade Runner is fair because this is 3 years after the fact. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting everyone's review sections.
No, you won't.
It's all good, dude. I interrupt people all the time. I interrupt Trevor all the time.
I can never get a word in, but it's fine.
But yeah, so I originally watched this, I'm pretty sure, in my film analysis class when I was attending St. Petersburg College.
SPC.
SPC.
Yeah, go SPC, go Titans. It was a great class. We watched some French films. We watched Brazil. We watched some other stuff. And I remember when I originally watched it, I thought it was fantastic, and I absolutely loved it. And now I still liked it a lot, but I definitely didn't love it as much as I did then. But I think that was me just being a pretentious film boy. Because when I looked back at what I rated it a 10 out of 10 on IMDb. But to be fair, my ratings were very lax back then. I would rate like everything a 10 out of 10. Because I was basically going through all the movies that were considered like classics. And I was like, well, I got to give it a 10 out of 10. And now it's nice whenever I rewatch those movies and I can actually give it like my actual feeling of a rating. So I'm like right around where you're at, Will. I would give it like 8.5. I thought it was really solid. The characters in it were cool. The fucking effects of it were bizarre. Like the whole art design and the effects that they had to make for some of the people, like when all the plastic surgery stuff was going on, was insane. The dystopian, like, authoritarian, like, even though, like, Gilliam has said, apparently, that he views it as just bureaucracy and not, like, an authoritarian state. He said in an interview that this is just how he sees our present times, and, like, he doesn't think that it was actually, like, a dictatorship or anything like that. He was just like, this is bureaucracy. That's amazing. Which is fair, I think.
Yeah.
I get the argument for that, to be honest.
So do I.
I think all that stuff is tight as fuck. It was very funny. There were so many parts that made me laugh. The performances were great as well. Like, Jonathan Pryce was great. De Niro was great in his limited role.
Yeah.
Bob
Hoskins. Shout out to Bob Hoskins.
It was really solid. Which guy was Bob Hoskins? I wrote down everybody.
He's one of the HVAC guys that comes in. He's the one who shows up trying to fix...
Was he Dowser or Spore?
He's the little one. Names. He's the little one who talks and doesn't echo everything.
I think that's Spore. I think that's Spore. But
I don't know. I feel like
those
Spore
guys
would
are
be
great.
the sidekick. Spore is a very
sidekick
name.
Yeah, I don't know. But those guys were great. Their little dynamic was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was great.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's a very interesting and like very dense movie.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot going on, so much so that the people that were in the movie didn't know what was happening a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think it's also like uncomfortably relevant to today.
I think you could say that like any time. I'm sure it was like incredibly relevant during the 80s, you know, during the Reagan era.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, fair.
You know?
Just so we're spoiler zoning now.
Yeah, let's jump into the spoiler zone for
Number one thing I want to say. His daydream thing reminded me so much of those weird bullshit cologne commercials that you see around the holidays. No one?
That's if anyone knows specific reference. I have no idea what you're talking about.
But apparently he wanted a samurai because he liked Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah, I guess. That's cool. But like, I don't know, him flying through the air with the girl in the... Like, especially the early ones. It gets a little less like it during his fighting dream sequence when he loses the wings and stuff. Yeah. When he's flying around and he sees Jill in the distance with the long hair.
You mean just because it looks dreamy? They do that a lot in
I
perfume
guess-
commercials.
Like these men's colognes commercials, it's like these just clouds in nothing fantasy looking scenarios. Just like
It looks like what your camera looked like before you fixed it, before we started recording. Like that fuzz, that
fuzz,
Nice.
that
Got him.
glow.
Got him.
I will say the thing that holds this back from having a higher score for me personally is those dream sequences. I think they're pretty
Really?
uninspired, and they definitely took me out of it a lot of the time. And I was like,
Yeah.
anytime they popped up, I was just like kind of waiting for them to be over. I don't think they're very visually interesting. I don't think that they're very thematically interesting. I can understand why you'd use a samurai as like a bad guy, but like there isn't really any legitimate explanation for why in terms of the film itself. Besides the fact that like, yeah, that armor looks daunting, but like that's not really a good enough explanation, especially when you consider the theme of the entire film. So like those are the parts that kind of lost me throughout. But like we talk a lot on this podcast about world building, and I think that this is maybe one of the best examples of world building that I've seen, at least. Yeah. I mean, definitely in terms of what we've shown and watched on the podcast, but maybe even overall, like it's
You
just
mean the rest of the movie, not the dream sequence.
Sorry, yeah. I pivoted without explicitly pivoting. Yeah, the rest of the movie, like the way the world is, the way that technology is, like the idea that Terry Gilliam had of technology in 1985 is absolutely fucking astounding. Like,
yeah,
those aspects of the film are so fucking cool, and like
they're all very bizarre. The forms
they're
of
so
technology.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Like
because it's a weird mix of past and future and present.
Yeah,
Like, it's
and
like,
also practical effects, I think. Like, I think that
Yeah.
probably had a lot to do with it as well, because they pretty much show everything in terms of practical effects. Like, this is the 80s, so there's not a ton of CGI. So, like,
I didn't notice any.
they made everything, more or less.
Yeah.
And, like, the first scene where you... Oh, shit, I forget his name. When you see Sam wake up in his apartment, and, like, the toaster is this weird, like, open-up toaster, and, like, he just, like, goes through his morning routine of waking up.
It's very Wallace and Gromit.
It's super
He's got
Wallace and
that,
Gromit. It's also
Rube,
super...
Rube
Goldberg.
machine?
Yeah, it's very Rube Goldberg. And it's just, like, it's super engaging, and I was just, like, completely floored by their idea of what, like, quote-unquote future technology would be in 85. It's just, like...
Yeah.
It looks
it
looks
is
so
not
fucking
strictly
cool.
the future, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
which is also...
it's like
I
a
mean,
point that he tried to hammer home was like, it's not...
But it
it's
has
not
to
the
be,
future.
though.
It's at no... It just isn't. It's not the
It
future,
says
present,
in the
or
20th
past. It just...
It says at what, like 8:49 p.m.
Yeah, somewhere in the 20th century.
somewhere in the 20th century, which we're in the 21st right now, so this cannot be any sooner than
And they were at the
1999.
latter. They were in the latter part of the 20th century already when it came
So,
out.
like...
Yeah.
Like it just takes place in its own time. It just is. It's Brazil.
Yeah. But
the maximum this could be is 15 years later.
Yeah.
Right. 99 is the end of that. And,
Or less than that, 14 years later.
But this is obviously well beyond the technology that we had in 99. But I choose to just kind of accept that, sure, that's the framework he wanted, but this is a futuristic environment. Like, I can't watch this movie
dystopia.
and not
It's
think
a
that
futuristic
this is a
dystopia.
future of where we're at.
But also at the same time, though, you're seeing these things that are like the typewriter computer.
Yeah.
The ducks being everywhere
The
and
ducks-
being mangled with wires.
The ducks
And,
were
like,
amazing. Like, the fact that
just
it's the
like-
first thing
wild.
we see is like a commercial about do you dislike your ducts? And it's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck am I? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
I do love that all the computers were like the tiny screen with like a big
With a
big
magnifier over it. Yeah.
Yeah, a big like not even like a magnifying glass, like a plastic magnifier, like with all the weird lines
Yeah.
cut in it. Like What?
Yeah.
Was that the cheaper option, or and we never really see a big screen except for a couple of the TVs?
I don't. What do you mean cheaper option production wise?
Not even production, just like world building wise. Like, was it
Okay,
cheaper
yeah,
to keep a
good.
small screen and then put like a magnifier in front
I thought you
of
were
it?
talking about production wise at first, and I was like, I'm pretty sure they just wanted it that way.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they wanted it, but like world wise, is that the reasoning? Like, was it
I
cheaper,
feel like-
lighter, or something along those lines?
It also just makes for really dynamic shots that
It
they can
does,
use.
for
Agreed.
sure.
Because there's multiple screens, so you can get that shot when Sam is in the office of his first boss when he's still working in records.
Yeah.
And he's like looking up stuff for his boss because his boss is incompetent.
Yeah.
It's like that nice close up of his face, but everything else is just like a normal shot. It's just so cool looking. It's
Yeah.
just so tight, dude.
I
Yeah,
also
that was
love
cool.
I love that they're like in that before he comes into work, they're like doing that whole run through of the office, and whenever the boss goes into his personal
So
office,
funny.
they all just like stop working and watch like old Western TV shows. So like that part of it, like, yeah, it doesn't feel futuristic at all because they're watching black and white. Like it's like
Also, everything is
Bonanza.
done very analog in this world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like nothing is digitally run or like automatic. So
Lot
it's
of-
not
well-
super futuristic in that way.
There is a little bit with remember whenever he's like in his boss's place on the computer when they're trying to deal with the check, trying to give it back to Miss Tuttle or Buttle,
Yeah.
whichever one is the
Miss
incorrect.
Buttle.
Miss Buttle, and he tries to do a transfer through the central computer for the money into her bank account. Remember? That's the only time though that it happens. Everything else,
But
is
even
like,
then, it's like done through like a tube system and shit. Like
that was, but like I still like, but the actual bank transfer.
yeah.
He,
But
like,
it was a combination of both is the thing.
It was,
though.
you're
It's
right.
Like,
Oh my
it's
God, I
still
forgot.
not it's still not 100% digital. Nothing is. Like this is run in a paper society still. Like it's still very
So many.
it's still very
forms.
20th century. you
Yeah,
know?
but yeah, the tube system is cool though. I'm not gonna lie. I like a good tube system.
The tube system's dope. And it's definitely been done in other stuff. The tube system is great.
The tube system has absolutely been. I mean, the tube system's a somewhat real thing still.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to a bank through the drive-through, they have a tube
A
system.
bank, and then I remember in Elf. whenever
Yeah,
he
yeah, I
in
was
the
thinking of that
mailroom.
too.
Yeah, he's got the tube system in Elf. What?
And I do want to say about the dream sequences. I wish Will was still here to hear.
Yeah, I know. He
to
just
hear
got
this
up.
because I wanted to talk about the dream sequences when he was talking about it, but he kind of pivoted off of it quickly without anybody being able to rebuttal.
That's what he does. Me and you will talk about it now. Let's go.
So the dream sequence stuff is interesting because when I was reading about it, apparently that dream sequence that we see throughout the film of him with the wings, like basically is like an Icarus type character.
He's
Like,
David Bowie.
and- David Bowie.
He's
is
David
great,
Bowie.
yeah.
That's
Well, are you talking about just because of the face paint
that and the hair
and the armor because of
and
that
the
one
armor.
movie? I forget what movie it is. I haven't seen it with David Bowie in it.
But like he what his alternate personality was Iggy
yeah, Ziggy Stardust.
Ziggy Star. That's all he like that. His dream sequence is him as Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah, but so what was I gonna say? The
Well, I gotta tell Will now that he's back. I gotta tell him.
Hi, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Dream sequence Sam is Ziggy Stardust.
Ziggy
David
Stardust.
Bowie.
David Bowie, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. He knows. He gets
I
it.
pictured him as more of an Icarus type character.
No,
I think
that's-
it's a combination of both. I feel that
He's
that's
just,
fair.
but-
he's just David Bowie.
Yeah, so Will, what I was starting to tell Trev is that when I was reading about it, the dream sequence, that sequence was originally supposed to just be in the beginning of the film, and there were like in whole, and there was originally going to be other dream sequences that sprinkled throughout the movie where like the chapters in quotes were ending and starting
What?
again. And they cut all those out because it was too much and didn't make any sense. So they ended up just splitting up that main dream sequence throughout the film. And I think it works well. Like, I feel like it makes sense when things are happening in the story, like thematically, it makes sense. Trevor,
So,
you look confused.
When you
I'm
say
looking at
they,
Will. Will, do you have Chick-fil-A with you right now?
yeah, Riss ordered food and she had some leftovers, so on my way to the bathroom, I grabbed some.
Sorry, that's what threw me off. I was like, "Are you?"
So when you say they, Jacob, do you mean the studio? Do you mean Terry Gilliam? Like, it seems odd to me that the director would be okay with.
Well, the cut that we got is Terry Gilliam's cut. There's actually a big there was a big fight between Terry Gilliam and what was this guy's name? I wrote it down. Fuck, where the hell did I write it down? But Sid Sheinberg was the studio exec that Gilliam was fighting with that wouldn't let him release his cut of the film. And Sheinberg had his own cut of the film that he wanted to release, but Gilliam already started showing people his cut, which is the one that we got. And people loved it. They wanted to nominate it for Best Picture and shit. Critics loved it and stuff. So that's the one they eventually went with after some fighting. And even in one interview, I forget what interview it was for, but Terry Gilliam put up a picture of him, of Sid Sheinberg, and said, "This is the guy you should be mad at because you can't see my film." But yeah, so it's it is the cut that he wanted with it split up. I guess he also made the decision that the other ones didn't make sense, but there seemed like there was going to be some cool ones, and they talk about it a little bit in that mini doc. But yeah. So I mean, the dream sequence is weird, you know.
Yeah.
I can't say that it's not weird and is jarring.
The thing is, it can't not be there,
because there's story breaks. There's story
breaks, but also it's his whole thing, Sam's whole thing. He never once really tells what's her name, Jill.
Yeah,
that she's really being hunted. I don't really remember him ever saying "Oh yeah, by the way, the information retrieval wants to find you and bring you in and make you disappear."
When he rescues her, doesn't he?
He does tell her.
He does. To me, it feels like he barely ever says it. Every other time, he's just "I saw you in my dreams. I love you.
No,
trust
me."
What
do you mean? What do you mean?
No,
the whole
in the
part when he
truck.
first meets her. Yeah.
He barely mentions it, and then the rest of the time, it's "I saw you in my dreams."
I disagree.
He makes it very clear.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like he keeps it real weird and crazy. He's a crazy person the whole time, and the fact that she falls for him. Wild.
Yeah, that part seemed rushed and strange to me.
Yeah, the fact that she comes
also
back
seems
at all.
I feel like it should have been one of those things to where only in his mind she fell for him.
I guess, but it happened
not in reality. No, I know it
maybe
did
for
happen
real?
in the story, but I feel like it shouldn't have.
That's another thing. I'm unsure of I know there's a pretty clear distinction of when we enter the dream sequence that happens towards the end of this film. Mm-hmm. But there's a couple of points earlier on where I'm is he in some sort of dream sequence?
You think he's an unreliable narrator?
Very.
It's possible.
Extremely.
He's definitely unreliable towards the end.
Well,
yeah, but
the end,
I mean, that's
him
I
in a
feel
coma
that's a
or
different
whatever.
narrative device. I think.
Yeah.
But
because they show it.
It almost feels like that started the moment he got, the moment he they got in the car crash, I guess, or not even a car crash. Where would it even have started? I don't know where it would even have started.
Yeah, I don't agree. I feel like he's
he's
on the level until he gets into the
chair
torture chamber, essentially.
Yeah, which looks like
With
it's
his friend,
inside of
Jack.
one of the big nuclear silos.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. They shot it in a nuclear silo, too.
That's dope.
That's crazy.
And those tracks that you see, on the pathway, if you go back and look, were just the tracks that they had to have for that dolly shot.
Really?
That's amazing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I remember
That's really
seeing the
fucking
tracks,
cool.
and I was like, oh, that's how they
I
peeled
didn't
the chair
notice
out.
them, and then I went back and watched that and read stuff about the movie, and I was like, oh fuck,
I can't wait to watch this mini doc. Yeah,
it's good.
I have I want to do a lot more research because this movie should be talked about more. I was aware of this film, but didn't really know much about it. and I feel like it's
Yeah.
just like it's really fucking cool.
It's not
interesting.
super talked about, for sure.
It's like it's really dope. I have a few notes that we've kind of bled over that
Yeah, go for it.
I just love, like, we talked about world building briefly, but I didn't dig quite into it. I like in the background of a lot of the shots in the city, you know, where he's out walking around or someone is out walking around. There are so many cool little things in the background that you may or may not have noticed. There's a
You're talking about the propaganda?
yeah,
That
the
stuff's
propaganda.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So that's
God.
yeah, exactly correct, Cobb. So I have 2 written down, and I'm sure I missed a bunch, but suspicion breeds confidence is just like
Nice.
it's fucked. It's like I read that and I was like, holy shit, this is like 2021 all over again.
Pretty good.
And then I also love where I don't remember quite where it is. I think it's after he and Jill first like kind of break off from each other, from one another, after he thinks she bombed the mall. There's someone walking down the street with like one of those classic like God signs, but it says "Consumers for Christ."
For Christ.
Yes.
Dude,
And did you hear
that
the line
got
after
me
that?
so
No.
good.
That's one of the only notes I took. Did you hear the line after
No,
that?
no.
What was it?
The little girl, when she's talking to Santa, she's sitting on his lap because this takes place
yeah.
on Christmas,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah,
So
yeah,
this
yeah.
is considered a Christmas
Christmas
movie.
movie. Yeah.
He asks her what she wants for Christmas, and she says a credit card.
Yeah.
That shit is fucked.
I remember
It's
that.
so
I remember
funny,
that
though.
happening. Yeah, that
Holy-
was
yeah.
wild.
I missed that. See, that's the kind of thing. Like, I feel like there's so much effort and intent put into
So many of those
the
little jokes
background
and story
stuff.
building.
Yeah, I mean,
things.
this is the guy who made fucking Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
that
and Life
that
of
really
Brian
shouldn't
and
go unnoticed. Like, this dude is a comedic genius, right? Like, pretty well recognized, universally recognized as someone who is a bastion of comedy, and he makes this like really like it's a very dark film, but it is so funny at the
It's
same
way
time.
darker than Monty Python.
It's
if you guys
so
are Monty
much
Python
darker.
heads and you've listened to this podcast so far and you want to watch Brazil, it's not going to be similar to Monty Python, but
No.
it is still funny.
It's really funny, but it's dark as fuck, and yeah, it's really really fucking good. And there are, I mean, have we talked about De Niro yet? Can we bring in De Niro at this point?
Yeah, let's talk about
De
De
Niro.
Niro.
Dude, Harry Tuttle is so fucking cool. Like
He is.
He's great.
So
I love his screwdriver thing where he's like,
yeah,
That's a real thing, to be fair.
I know, yeah. Apparently those tools De Niro brought in.
So basically,
Oh, really? That's cool.
Sam wakes up one morning or night or whatever the fuck, or he gets home and his air conditioning is broken. He can like barely breathe.
He wakes up
it's
in the
like
middle of the night in like
weird-
a sweat. Like he was sweating in
Right.
the middle of the night. Yeah.
So we cut to him like with his head in the freezer of his refrigerator.
He's called Central Service. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
he
trying to
calls
Central
trying to get the
Services.
shit fixed. They say we can't come out until X amount of time, or that he doesn't get through or something. I don't quite remember, but it jumps to him asleep with his head in his freezer, and he gets a knock on the door, and
No, is the phone
Answers-
ringing?
sorry, yes, you're right. Right. The entrance is crazy. So you get the phone call.
Yeah.
They ask, is this, Sam, whatever the fuck his last name is? And he's like, yeah. And the camera kind of pans back, and you see in the background of this shot of Sam on the phone,
Harry.
someone entering his apartment with a gun.
On the phone.
Yeah, on the phone, and you can tell at that point that it's him talking to Sam, asking him these, like, is this Sam, whatever your name is? And he's like, yeah, who is this? And then, it's Harry Tuttle, a.k.a. Robert De Niro, holding a fucking, I think, silenced pistol. Just a pistol, okay.
I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. but
IMFDB
it's-
Trevor comes through. Yeah, he has a pistol. He looks like he's a spy, essentially. He like walks in. He has his face covered. He's holding a gun at Sam's head, and he's like a freelance HVAC guy who is just
he's
pretty
like a
much saying-
resistance HVAC guy. Like
Yeah, it's very
does-
strange. he's like, I just have to be safe because I've been set up this way before, as if like he's gonna get killed for being a freelance HVAC man, which is also just like
absolutely
great wrinkle in the world building.
That is, by the way, that is a Walther P38 that he was using.
Classic James Bond gun, right?
James Bond does use a Walther. I do not believe he uses the P38. I think
P33.
There's a PP7.
Jacob might be right.
It is. It's a Walther PP7.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I think Jacob's right.
So yeah, Tuttle
As
comes
I
in.
fucking pour my beer. Come on, guys.
Tuttle
You guys
comes
don't
in,
fucking know about James Bond
pistol
guns,
out.
cowards.
I just know Aston Martin.
Yeah,
Tuttle
the
comes
DB5.
in, pistol out, freaks out Sam, and he's like, "I'm here to fix your, I intercepted your call. Essentially, like I'm here to help you out."
Here.
And that
I'm here. What are you gonna do about it?
he's like a resistance fighter / terrorist that is also.
We don't know if he's a terrorist though.
Yeah. Also,
It's
yeah.
implied
Okay.
that
So
he is,
what
though.
is what's you guys' view on the terrorist situation? in this
I have
movie?
a theory.
I have a theory.
I have
All
a
right.
theory. My
Trevor,
theory.
then
What's your
Jason.
theory?
I don't have a theory. So.
My theory is that the government is doing it.
Yeah, that was my theory.
That is my theory. The government is doing it themselves.
It's the government.
To keep themselves in power. They create the problem that they are trying to solve. It's been, what did
That
they say
makes
at the
sense.
beginning?
I agree with
13
Trevor.
years or whatever that the bombings have been going on. Is that what they said at that interview at the beginning?
Yeah. Also,
something like
every
that.
That's a
time
long
anything
time.
happens, the like SWAT team breaks in and like
Yeah.
starts fucking shit up. It's
They're like
we
right
didn't even
there,
fucking
ready
that.
to
We
go.
didn't even mention them. Like their
And the
whole like
people don't
cut a
care.
hole in the ceiling thing and like firemen pulled down into someone's apartment.
They look. Oh, I gotta see if this is older or newer, but they look
Dude,
like.
the part with the Buttle family was so sad.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
very
here's
sad.
the receipt for your husband. That was like one of the first
Yeah,
notes I
here's some
took.
cash, bitch.
That is your receipt for your husband. That is such
And
a
then Sam's
fucked up
like,
thing to
I
say.
didn't have to come.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
come on.
and she's
man.
like, she's like completely delirious and has no idea what's happening.
Those bastard kids destroy his car. It's technically not his car.
Yeah.
Because they reference it
Yeah.
later. It's a company transport, but
Yeah.
still.
That little 3-wheeler, that little
It's dope.
scorpion, whatever the fuck they call him.
Tight.
While Trevor's looking up whatever he's looking up, I was just
trying to see when this. So the
Don't know what
I
he's
guess
doing.
the people might have taken inspiration from this, but the first thing I thought of was Ilgang the Wolf Brigade.
Wolfgang.
and that's like-
kill them all.
Wolfgang Puck?
No, it's called. Come on now, I'm trying to actually say something. Ilgang
On
the
future
Wolf
Wolfgang kill
Brigade.
them all.
No, it's the Wolf Brigade.
Trevor, I would love to hear you because Will keeps interrupting you.
I know. I keep getting interrupted all the time, and it's fine.
Trevor, hurry. But say
Anyways,
the thing. Don't just say
the
I'm being
soldiers
interrupted.
reminded me they look very similar in both of those pieces of media.
They
And
look
they're
like
both
Killzone.
dystopia.
They look like
Are you talking
Killzone.
about Wolfenstein?
No, Killzone.
Moving on.
Are you talking about CSGO? Wait, I still don't even understand what you said, Trevor.
Moving on. This came out way later. I thought this was like based on something earlier, so I was just wrong. So just moving on.
Big wrong. Imagine being this big wrong.
27
Trevor,
B stroke
don't be
6.
sad. Don't drink your thick ass smoothie.
What do you
beer.
guys think? What do you guys think of the 27 B stroke 6?
Pretty good. I thought that was a nice scene.
It was solid.
Like
Then
you
he-
have
Did
before.
you look up what it means?
Wax him
No,
with
what
the
does that
wrench.
What does that mean?
Apparently, it's like the numbers from the address of Orson Welles when he was writing 1984.
What the fuck?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, that's
Apparently,
legit.
it's like the address number and the apartment number together.
That's
is like
super
the,
legit. I'm
what
very
the
into
thing
that.
is.
That's awesome.
That's per IMDb,
I think my
which
favorite.
is tight as fuck.
I think my favorite visual of the entire film is Tuttle just ziplining off into the fucking distance,
So cool, and they had
That's
to
a
do
good
that
scene.
practically, which is tight as fuck.
which isn't like do they touch that on the in the
in
documentary?
the doc, yeah, they do. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Because it's insane. He goes like, it looks like he's going like 40 stories down.
dude, he's going like 1,000 miles per
Just
hour.
like,
Dude, like
they had to speed
Straight
that up.
down.
It's
They
really
had to
cool.
speed that up or something.
well, yeah, they sped it up, and apparently it's just like a little figurine going down. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
well then that's fine.
I think
it wasn't De Niro.
that was great. Shout out Robert De Niro. I think the shit of
Shout out the practical effects department. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
they killed it.
Like,
They killed it.
if we're
They
going to
did
do a
so
shout
good.
out, that's the biggest shout out.
That's
They-
the biggest shit.
they
Like,
filled
especially
a suit up with human shit. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
the
Do you
honestly,
think they
the coolest-
died?
I don't think
Yes.
they died.
But go on with what you were saying, Trevor.
For me, one of the coolest practical effects was in the dream sequence, the big pillars coming up out of the ground. I thought
Yeah,
that was a
that
really
was cool.
cool. That was a dope
That was
practical
very cool.
effect.
Yeah, I have.
Will, I thought you hated the dream sequence.
I did, but I have exploding pillars of earth written as a note.
Yeah.
It just looks amazing. Like that's so fucking cool
Yeah.
looking.
I feel like I didn't like the dream sequence as much while watching, but thinking about it now, I feel like the dream sequence was amazing.
No.
Thoughts?
Nah,
Disagree.
I think they're both
I think it was great.
both watching it and thinking about it. It was like this exists. I was neither disliked
I
it or
feel
liked
like-
it. It was just this happened.
I disliked
I feel
all
like
of it
Terry
except
Gilliam
the
knows
exploding
what's
pillars
up,
of earth.
and I have no place to say anything against that. You know
That bit where like he's about to fight a real person and then all of a sudden he like becomes Ziggy Stardust and like stabs a samurai in the stomach with like a fire lance. Like that
well, the
shit's
fire
dumb.
I think was inside of the samurai.
Yeah, the
It was
fire
just
comes
with
out
it.
of the samurai's body.
Yeah.
for
doesn't
sure.
matter.
Like exhaust.
Stupid scene.
Oh,
But
what did you
it's-
guys think of his friend Jack?
With the baby mask.
Jack's an asshole.
Yeah,
fuck
the
Jack.
other Monty Python guy. Come
He
on,
thinks he can
guys.
just like give the
Michael
Jack's
Caine-
not his friend.
He thinks he can give Sam a suit and then just like murder him.
I thought that part was kind of funny. It was like almost the same suit, and he was like, you can't wear this. Here, have this
You need
suit.
a better suit. You need a better suit.
Maybe that suit had because I don't know if you guys remember the second time he was talking to Jack in his office. Jack was putting that ballistic plate in his vest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe that was what he meant. We gave him the other suit. It had like
I don't think it was. I think it was like that subtle difference of like
professional.
even in reality, if you're a suit guy or if you know anything about suits, there are like certain suits that are like clearly dog shit compared to other ones. You
I
know.
guess, yeah. I don't know enough.
Like even me and Kirk have talked about it on NedPod, where we talked about how the 3-button suit is trash.
3-button suit is dog shit. Even my
Yeah,
show.
it's dog shit.
Maestro
Thank you.
agrees.
Trevor has no idea. I bet Trevor owns a 3-button
Look at
suit.
Maestro.
coward.
Maestro's like,
I think mine's a
fuck
2.
a
I think mine's a 2.
3-button
Mine's a 2, I'm pretty sure.
He's a baby boy that clearly does not want to be held by his
Not
dad
at
like
all.
3 times in a row trying to hold
I'm
him.
doing my best. I'm trying to give him like a bonus for our visual listeners, but yeah, can we kind of like transition to the final 20 minutes or so of this film?
Yeah, let's do it. Like, absolutely.
So
When he's brain dead?
So we get a basically Sam gets back home, right? After deleting Jill. from the database. She delivers the very questionable line of care for a little necrophilia. Which is
I thought that was hilarious.
I was like, holy shit, this is weird.
Also,
was so
she's
fucked up.
wearing one of his mom's wigs, which
Yo,
is kind of
yeah.
weird.
So I thought that would end up being his mom, and he would fuck his mom. Obviously, that
would've
doesn't
been-
turn out to be the case. But like the way they're building towards his mom's continual plastic surgeries to be younger, I was like, is this?
But at the end, in the dream sequence funeral, his mom is his lover.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So,
also, that
I
poor
mean,
lady,
like-
that poor lady who kept doing the acid thing that kept getting worse and worse was just a
Yeah.
puddle of goo and bones.
so
That part was
gross.
funny as fuck.
So
That was
fucking-
Abby
cool.
hated it. She thought it was disgusting. I thought it was hilarious.
It was wild.
It's so gross. A fucking skeleton jelly person falling out of a coffin.
Gnarly.
Real quick, I
Gnarly.
gotta point out that lady's daughter, whatever her name was,
with the headgear.
with the headgear. I really
Yeah.
appreciated the scene where he's finally like talking to her on the couch and like,
Yeah.
I know our mothers are trying to get together, and she's like, oh no, don't worry, I don't like you either.
Yeah, that was
and
great.
he's just like,
What
"Oh,
about the
sick."
salt scene where she's like, salt? Just
Salt?
constant salt.
And then
And then the bomb goes off and everybody just continues to eat dinner.
yeah,
So
and then she's
wild.
like,
Dude,
pepper? and he's just
I
like, I'm
love
out of
those
here.
parts where it's just like bombings happen. It's just like it is what it is.
Yeah. It really,
Also, the fact they have to pick a number like off of this giant light up menu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hilarious. He's
The
like, just
guy
give me the steak.
Made them
Pick a number.
Pick a number,
Say
and then it's
the
just
number.
a goo pellet. It's
the number
just-
3.
So gross.
That guy was great. Great performance. by that
So there's like a remote control drone strike, which I think is like pretty ahead of its time.
guy. Remote control drones.
What
yeah,
are you talking
so there's a guy who
Milk me and Trevor were like, what the fuck?
he's like laying down and he's controlling a robot, like
Oh,
via a screen.
the robot.
It's like a remote control, like a RCXD from Call of Duty Black Ops, if you know what I'm saying.
Control drones.
I do know what he's
what
talking
you're
about.
saying. I don't remember what that was in
That
the movie.
happens whenever they're in his dream sequence and they're going out the front lobby.
Yes.
And they're in the big firefight in the front lobby.
Yes.
And a bunch of the other, I assume, HVAC
Yeah.
guys
they break,
get killed.
It's like when they
Like-
break him out of being tortured by Jack. One of the first thing that happens is that he like they're fighting the government, I guess.
Once they
and-
get to the lobby, that's when it happens.
The
Yeah.
gun battle.
yeah, the gun battle. And
Where
then there's
all the
also-
guards, for some reason, have Spaz 12s. Every single guard has a Spaz 12.
I knew.
That's kinda weird.
They have
Was
AKs
that on
and Spaz 12s.
FTB? I feel like we haven't mentioned I'm FDB in a while.
We
Trevor,
did.
was that
You
on?
were
We just-
you were in
you
the
were
bathroom. He referenced it for the Walther pistol that Tuttle has.
Bitch.
That was the only gun I didn't really know off the top of my head. Like the 1911 that happens early on, that was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Show your merch. Now we finally are in video for the first reference. Show the merch.
I don't have merch. I'm wearing
Bitch.
I'm wearing Legend of Zelda today.
Now all of
Liar.
our audience knows you don't have
Yeah,
merch.
you're a fraud. God damn it.
I would love. Do they have merch?
In that
Buy some,
in that
please.
sequence in the lobby, there is a reference to a classic film. Do either of you know what it is?
In the lobby, there's a...
Not from what I can remember. No.
All right,
What is
cool.
it?
So there's one of the like robot things slowly like tumbles down the stairs as one of the soldiers is trying to catch it.
Oh, Battleship Potemkin.
Yeah,
Okay,
Cobb.
there we go.
Shout out to Cobb, the Odessa steps of Battleship Potemkin.
Yeah.
It is very clearly a reference
Trevor,
to...
you don't know that? Trevor, you can
Wow.
no longer consider yourself a film
Kid didn't
boy.
go to film school. What a fucking
Appa-
loser.
Trevor, your minor was in film analysis. You
Yeah,
bitch.
it was. I
This
didn't
is
watch that. We
fucked.
watched a lot of weird French
My
art
minor was in
films.
history. I didn't
Wow.
watch dick in history.
Wow, Trevor. So there's an Andrei Tarkovsky silent film called The Battleship Potemkin. A very famous
Yeah.
scene in the classic film is
A
from
great
this
scene.
film called The Odessa Steps, and it's a baby carriage falling down this massive set of steps.
Well, the
during-
film is called Battleship Potemkin.
right?
The scene is the
scene is the Odessa. That's what I said. Did I not say
Hold on,
that?
I might have actually seen
I thought
that.
you said the reverse
Wait, now
of
that
that.
you're saying that, we might have actually seen that.
You definitely
Trevor,
saw
you
it.
for sure
I don't
seen
think
it.
a
You
film
for sure
class
seen it.
exists that hasn't watched the Battleship Potemkin. It's
Okay.
like, it's a really big
Like,
deal.
It's really,
Yeah, it's
Like
huge.
now that you're
Everybody's
describing
seen
it, because I'm still thinking about a robot falling downstairs.
Trevor,
have
I'm
a
like,
brain
I don't
blast.
remember
It's
this.
a baby
For a second.
carriage, and it's a massive set of stairs. It's like 60 stairs, and it's like slowly falling down a
Yeah.
set of stairs because a woman got murdered on this.
And
Yeah,
think
'cause
about
they're
think
shooting
about the
down the
Bolsheviks and the proletariat, and
Yeah.
think about how we need to take down the anti-communists.
Yep. Antifa. All right.
Trevor,
so,
you're a card-carrying Antifa member, aren't you?
great reference. I was super into that. And then also, I have two more notes. The newspaper Harry Tuttle was amazing. I don't know what it symbolizes. I don't know what it means.
Oh,
like
him being covered
But
in
like him
newspapers?
getting tackled and attacked by newspapers and then just like vanishing into thin air.
To me, it seemed less like newspapers and more like the receipts and
Paperwork.
the bureaucracy paperwork.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was
I agree.
him being disappeared by the system. The system
which
absorbed him
which is
and
awesome.
made him disappear, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is fucking
I also
awesome.
saw it as paperwork, not newspapers.
Fair.
Just
Yeah.
like, just fat fine print.
Yeah.
Because he talks about how he doesn't want to deal with that, and he just wanted to live in the heat of the moment on the front lines. He just wanted to be a fucking mechanic or an engineer or whatever.
He wanted to do HVAC, and then that's like whatever.
And then like we learned
do
at the
HVAC.
end that this is all a dream anyway. But like,
Yeah.
you know, you don't necessarily think that. Like my first thought is not to doubt the reality of what's happening in a given film.
Dude, I had seen it before and I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy
great.
fuck, great magic trick.
Yeah.
Straight up, the only reason I didn't doubt that immediately was because I had already doubted the movie so many other times.
Yeah, fair.
For being in a dream sequence,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it still hasn't said it's a dream sequence, so I guess this is all real.
Yeah.
And then they finally reveal it, and I'm like, okay, there it is.
Also,
then-
something I want to mention is when they're driving in the truck when he's with the girl
Jill.
finally in her dope pickup or like tow
Semi,
truck thing.
yeah.
Semi.
Yeah, with semi truck or whatever. All that road they're driving down with the billboards completely walling off everything is like,
It's so cool.
So cool.
it's such a fucking dystopian like.
Oh,
fuck,
yeah.
that sucks.
And they get
Like,
out. They get out into like beyond the billboards, and it just looks like Death Stranding. It's just like valleys of green.
Yeah,
Which
but
is,
in his-
it's just
he's-
England
But it-
or Scotland. But
It
like,
also makes me big sad for the ending when like all he wanted was a nice life in the country.
Yep.
Yeah.
With like his
living out of
love
that
and,
trailer.
like,
Yeah.
They had
and
a
it just-
cow in like a nice little fence
Yeah.
there, and it was good.
and it
Yeah.
just couldn't
Nice.
come true. He was
And they just
fucking
yank it away
brain
from us.
dead.
Like classic bait and switch. So that
And his friend just didn't give a fuck.
that brings me to my final question for the both of you. Do you enjoy endings like that? Do you enjoy that as a
Yes.
narrative device? Are there any times you can think of where you hated that was the case? Do you like unhappy endings in general, or do you always
I
want
do.
a happy ending?
Unhappy endings definitely have their place. For me, I tend to appreciate the dream sequence type situation more when it is not the end of the film.
Yeah.
I like it more when there is, like, it happens, and then we get to see like a reality actually play out.
Right.
This is one
But
of those.
I think it's more interesting when it's at the end because it makes it's like a darker twist on your normal narrative.
Agreed.
yeah, but
you know?
it's so easy to do, in my opinion.
I don't think it is. I think it's easier to do it way in the middle of the film when it doesn't matter, you know? Because this is completely changing the sequence of the film. It's changing the ending. It's changing everything. Like, the ending is what the movie ends up being about.
It's like
Yeah.
20
changing it.
minutes of them
I
being
d-
in this reality, and then that reality being yanked out from under you.
I do want to
'Cause
say I
normally when
didn't
it's in the
super
middle, it's like a
dislike
minute.
this. This was not horrible. I'm just stating my preference. I
Yeah,
do
that's
prefer
fair.
it not.
And go
to-
ahead.
that's
Go,
fair.
finish your...
Which I did. I mean, that is my question. You know, I didn't specifically ask about this film.
My overall preference is not to have it right at the end because it just feels, in some cases, not necessarily in this case because it did kind of work, but also I don't know. This ending was weird overall, but for the most part, I like it to be earlier on in a film where we can actually get some real, whether it be good or bad, resolution that actually
Right.
happens.
Right.
But like having it as the end be just, that was a dream. Let's go. It's actually sad. Moving on.
Yeah,
Like,
it makes it such a sad and dark and heavy ending because like it's so brutal. It's such a brutal turn from what just happened. And he's just humming the Brazil song, which is like
It's so sad.
the saddest thing that I think could be there. Like he never reconnects with Jill.
Well, she's
His
maybe
best
dead.
friend, she could be dead, but I assume she just was either arrested or left there at the flat.
I think
There
it's
was
dead.
gunshots. There was
They
gunshots.
shot her. They shot her.
They don't show it.
They don't
They
show
don't,
it, but
right?
after they take him into custody, there are a multitude of gunshots.
Yeah, but I forget what my train of thought was.
Sorry, you were like, I forgot what train of thought was too.
So
He's humming and it's sad and all
It's
that.
gone.
That's kind of what you said.
the
All
train
right.
of thought's gone. It's been demolished.
So I'll
Well-
go ahead. Hopefully this will spark you, but I am a gigantic sucker for a sad ending. I think that they don't happen enough. I think that film and television are, to a fault, relentlessly optimistic. I love when a film doesn't hesitate to, or a television show doesn't hesitate to kill characters. Go ahead, Trev.
I will say, I definitely feel like there is a reason behind endings not being sad that often, and it's because generally media, especially in our modern age, is an escapist thing. You don't necessarily want, like, a lot of real life is a sad ending. You kind of want to watch something that's got something positive, but I do appreciate a sad ending on occasion. I think it's harder to pull off a good sad ending, though.
Yeah. I mean, I
would say that it's more often now that it's a sad ending than it was in the past. Like, if you looked at older movies, like 99% of the time you're gonna have a happy ending where it's like the guy gets the dame and then he like he wins it all. And like now the movies are more dynamic. Like I would say from the 70s forward, movies are more dynamic. I guess I consider movies that old to be more modern, but that's just because as three of us tiny little film boys have seen a lot of old movies.
Yeah, I mean, relatively speaking, I think the last 40 years are modern. The last 50 years are modern. I mean, film has been a legitimate art form movement since the early 20th century. And like, sure, the 70s maybe it's not quite 100 years of modern quote unquote cinema, but I think that it's a good benchmark. I love an ambiguous ending. I love a deliberately sad ending. I think that a lot of movies and TV shows could benefit from killing more people. I understand why.
Not being afraid to do it.
I understand why they don't, because like Trevor said, a lot of this media is created to be escapist and to take you out of the depressing reality of life. A lot of the time we don't want to get home from our shitty 9 to 5 and watch something that reminds us how absolutely brutal life is. But
excuse you, not all of us are on 9 to 5. I'm on a 3 a.m. to
I'm on a midnight to 6 a.m. Thank you very much.
Because people that aren't boomers have to work schedules that are ridiculous and not being able to afford anything.
We get home from the
lifestyle and
40-hour a week job, and we just want to see happy shit. And I think that the impulse to proactively avoid that kind of assumption or desire from the audience is incredibly valuable, and I love it when there's not a clearly defined ending or if there's a traditionally unacceptable ending. So my last note for this film is all caps classic bait and switch, and I think I probably would have been at maybe a 7.5 barring the ending, and I think the ending is wonderful. It's absolutely depressing, and it's incredibly sad.
The last 20 minutes are phenomenal.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing, and I fell asleep during them the first time through, which is awful. But I'm incredibly glad.
To be fair, I was starting to fall asleep in the middle too.
Yeah.
But I powered through and took a quick break because. Yeah. Listen, we're working boys, all right?
Yeah.
I'm fucking exhausted when I get home.
I was so beat. 10 o'clock Monday night, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm so tired.
Dude, this was like 6:30 on a fucking Wednesday, but goddamn, I've been up for 15 hours already.
Yeah. So I love something that has the balls. And I think maybe back in 85, it wasn't necessarily considered a bold move to do something like this, but increasingly nowadays I think it's rarer and rarer for a piece of media to make that difficult choice to not necessarily kill your main character, because Thrones made that kind of the norm, but to leave you on kind of a dour note, I think is really powerful, and I love it when that happens. And this is a film that absolutely benefits from that. I think it makes you think about it twice as hard because it's awful. Like, this dude is like straight up, Sam is brain dead at the end of this film. You know, they say he's no longer with us, and they like get up and walk away, and you zoom into his face, and he's just kind of like humming the theme song, and then you cut to
he's dreaming of a different world.
He's dreaming of a different place. He's dreaming of Brazil, and I just like. That's so.
Man, that's sad.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
Too sad. You can't say that.
No, dude, it's so sad, but it's so perfect because a lot of life nowadays is that. You know, you don't get that.
Dreaming of Brazil.
You're dreaming of that happier place, and it's incredibly depressing, but I think it's just really, really fucking awesome.
I agree.
Too.
Honestly, especially in quarantine, I would say the dreaming of Brazil is very big.
You know what's sad is that might actually have been the happiest possible ending he could have received too. Like him actually ending up with the girl in this society seems 0 to none. Yeah. So this is probably his best bet, being a vegetable.
It would have never stopped.
Yeah, being a vegetable, thinking about happy memories or happy scenarios for the rest of eternity.
Yeah. Shout out to fucking Terry Gilliam, dude. This makes me really want to watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. This makes me
also apparently there are other. There's one that he made before this. It's
12 Monkeys.
It's called like it's
seen
before
that.
12 Monkeys in the 90s. It's called like Time Chasers or something like that. Is it
Time Bandits?
Something. Time Bandits, yes, which is apparently what he considers a part of like his weird trilogy of like imagination movies, is what he called them, or something like that.
That's amazing. Sean Connery, Shelley Duvall, John Cleese.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it, but maybe that could be worth a watch.
A young boy accidentally joins a band of time-traveling dwarves as they jump from era to era looking for treasure to steal.
Yeah, listen, all
right,
I'm not saying it's going to be... Listen, I'm not saying it's going to be...
That sounds dope. I'm not going to lie. I'm in.
But do you guys have any final thoughts or anything about Brazil? I mean, we didn't touch...
so much of it.
Everything.
Yeah.
But like,
I think you should watch it. I think you should prepare to be maybe not happy when the movie ends.
We're to be weirded out at many points where it's like, what the fuck is going on?
It's a very strange film. I think it's really, really wonderful and worth watching.
I also want to say that this film, I feel like, benefits from being able to talk about it. So if you're able to watch it with someone or watch it away from someone and then talk about it afterwards, can benefit immensely, I think.
Yes, definitely agree. Great pick, Cobb. Happy to have seen it.
Yeah.
Next up is Will.
Dope. Yeah, who knows what I'll choose.
Yeah, another last-minute decision, just like mine was, where I told the boys the next day after we recorded the last episode.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Mine's been decided.
Trevor's has been decided for, I think, like 6 months now, because
he's been pushing this one off.
I pushed it off once, to be fair.
It was only once, yeah. But yeah, we'll catch you guys for the next Show Me Something podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you
for watching Brazil. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
Bye.